I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Mornings from 7 to 10 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Anytime. Anytime. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And a pleasant good afternoon. Welcome to Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp. Everybody back in after the holiday. You guys enjoy the break?
Had an awesome Christmas. Yes, thank you for the present.
Oh man, look, we share and share alike around here, man. That's what the season is all about. That and spending time in airports, right?
Ha! Yes, if you flew Southwest.
What's the worst? The third worst thing that you can hear after your flight gets canceled? If you go up to the desk, what's the third worst thing that you can hear?
Ooh, the third?
The third worst thing that you can hear.
The worst has got to be it's delayed again.
No, the third worst thing that you can hear is there are no more flights today. The second worst thing that you can hear from the attendant at the counter is there are no more flights tomorrow. The worst thing that you can hear is there are no more flights this week. Honorable mention somewhere down the line is we'll get your bag back to you in a month. Now, this is coming from somebody who less than 30 days ago left his bag at security in the busiest airport on the planet without a tag on it because I was carrying it on. I just left it right there on the scanner. Nice people over at Hartsfield found my bag, got it back to me inside of 2 weeks. That was a miracle. These poor people that are stuck anywhere from one end of the country to the other, I feel badly for them. Felt badly. The Buffalo Bills spent the night in the Chicago airport. I have spent the night in the almost all of the night in the Chicago airport before. Of all the places that you want to spend the night, the Chicago airport is at or near the bottom. That's what the Bills had to deal with. So I hope you didn't have any of these crazy flight delays or flight cancellations. And if you're listening on the internet and you're somewhere, say Wichita, you're with Uncle Fred and Aunt Cindy, who are perfectly lovely people, but after 5 days, you're ready to go home. You have my sympathies. Lot of stuff over this weekend. It seemed like this was one of the busiest Christmases for live sporting events between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, falling on a Saturday, Sunday. For a lot of years, the only thing that was on Christmas Day was the Blue-Gray game, which was the least of all of the college all-star games. And I always used to say to myself, man, if you're going to the Blue-Gray game on Christmas Day, you either better be a scout or you're just, man, without anything to do. But we had a ton of, and of course, years ago, the NBA tried to take over the day, and then the NFL said, oh, hang on a second. There was more money wagered on the 3 NFL games on Sunday by a lot than the 5 NBA games. Now, think about that for a second. Of the 6 teams that were playing on Sunday in the NFL, you had 1, maybe 2 playoff teams that were there. And the Dolphins-Packers game was interesting because of the quarterbacks, one of which threw up on himself most of the fourth quarter. But the middle game was absolutely terrible, and the night game was almost worse because at least one of the teams played well in the middle game. Nobody played well. And still, with that and 5 really attractive NBA matchups, including Celtics-Bucks, which is 2 of the best 3 or 4 teams in the NBA, and almost everybody played. Unlike some of these other games, almost everybody played. And still, Steph Curry was out for the Warriors in the last game, but the rest of the way, most of the players were playing, and yet the NFL outdistanced it with 3-5, and it's not surprising. I read this stat this weekend, and I read it on Twitter, so it must be true, right? That so far this season, only 22% of the NBA games have featured the top 3 players on both teams playing. That is, even if that's a little bit wrong and the top 3 players on any one team at a given time might be a little bit subjective, that is a shocking statistic, and yet not at all shocking when you think, hey, why is there, less interest in the NBA regular season? That's why. And we followed it more closely this year because the Pels are good. Most of the time, we don't even realize that there's basketball in the NBA until after Christmas. This year, the Pelicans are in contention. They're going to be in contention, and they're doing it without a lot of their guys. For all of the ridicule we heap on Anthony Davis for all of the time he's missed, and he's out again, Brandon Ingram is gaining on him. I mean, if he ain't careful, they're going to call him Street Clothes Jr. So, and yet the Pelicans have been able to, put together right. But if you're not going to play the best player, if they're just going to say, I got to be honest with you, I was a little bit irritated yesterday getting ready for the Pelicans game. It's like Zion Williamson will be held out for conditioning. And I'm like, really? Really? How long has he been gone? A week? Not even a week. He went into the health and safety protocols, and according to the reports that I read, didn't have COVID, was just a contact or whatever, and out for 3 days, got to miss another game. I mean, God bless him. Everything's going well over there, but really? You can't. There were some people, and I heard about this louder than I wanted to from some people I knew that had bought tickets to the Pels game for Christmas and to go the day after Christmas. And guess who they wanted to see? Zion Williamson, who's in the conditioning protocols. But anyway, so the Saints win kind of was where I wanted to start before I got got rambling about airplanes and the NBA. Saints win 17-10 on Saturday against the Cleveland Browns. It was negative 16 degrees with the wind chill. And if you saw these games in Pittsburgh, in Kansas City, in Chicago, in Cleveland, in Baltimore, it was just absolutely miserable conditions. And the Saints game was no exception to that. In fact, with the wind chill, the Saints game was the coldest out of all of the games. I'll be honest with you, at 10-3 at halftime, I figure the Browns are going to win this game. I thought before the game that the Browns would win the game because I thought that they had a superior rushing attack to the Saints and it would play well in this weather. The Saints rushing defense the week before against Atlanta had surrendered well over 200 yards on the ground, and I figured that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt would just eat that up. Didn't think that there would be a lot of passing in the game, and there wasn't. But I missed on the running attack because with Taysom Hill as a big part of it, the Saints were able to outrush Cleveland. With Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on the other side, that was a surprise to me. The Saints came from behind to win this game. The Saints got some key stops to win this game. The Saints got some big catches out of Rashid Salid, who has been a revelation in this season. And most importantly, I think than anything I saw was the fact that on a day where it was negative 16 and the Saints were behind and it's Christmas Eve and you really are thinking more about getting home and getting warm and getting this over with, even with the slim hopes of getting in the playoffs, the Saints responded. The Saints made plays. Tyrann Mathieu was all over the place on Saturday. That was his best game as a Saint. And it leads me to something that we're going to talk about a little bit more in the next segment, which is a lot of teams are looking right now at what the next step is going to be, because 2 weeks from yesterday, it's Black Monday, and I don't even know if we can call it that anymore because teams are, they're trying to beat the rush, okay? Denver made the move that everybody could see coming since very, very early in the season. They fired Nathaniel Hackett. He's now the third coach that is down. There'll be more. I don't even know if they wait all the way until Monday. But teams like the Saints are trying to figure out what they're going to do. Teams like the Panthers are trying to figure out what they're going to do. Teams like the Texans, the Raiders, all of these teams have to make a call on, are they going to come back with these coaches next year? And for the Saints to have responded this way over the last 2 weeks, listen, it's Atlanta and Cleveland. We're not throwing a Super Bowl parade here. But he does at least have the attention of the building. He does still have them bought in. They have looked a little bit better. This wasn't the easiest game to win on Saturday. There were a lot of reasons that the Saints could have mailed it in. The Denver Broncos mailed in Christmas Day. It wasn't that they had a poor coach, though they did, or a quarterback that has taken leave of his body. I don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson. But they quit. I mean, they absolutely quit. Saints didn't do that. That's just one piece of the puzzle. You got to do more than that. But at least they are still bought in. And if they win one of the last two, and it's going to be difficult because they play Philadelphia this week, and even if Jalen Hurts doesn't play, the Eagles, top to bottom, are a vastly superior team to the Saints, and they've had New Orleans' number. Not only do they have a better team than the Saints, they're a particularly bad matchup for the Saints, the way they run the football. They have the last 2 years exceeded 200 yards on the ground. If you give up 200 yards on the ground, you're probably going to lose. And then the final week against the Carolina Panthers, who all of a sudden look like the favorites in the NFC South. I mean, you tell me, you watch the Bucs on Christmas night after everybody went home and everything, the kids are, done and down for the night. If you turn it on just to, have something to do while you're sipping what's left of the wine, and you look at that, it's like, man, Tom Brady looks like crap. I'm sorry. I mean, they got the win, but they look terrible. And the Panthers ran for 340 yards, man. They look like they want to play. They look like they're into it. And they're playing for the coach's job. I mean, if the Panthers win these next two games and they win the NFC South, doesn't Steve Wilks have to come back? I mean, if you inherited that mess and you turned it into a playoff team, even in this lousy division, don't you have to bring that guy back? Hasn't he earned the right to come back? That's who the Saints see the next 2 weeks. The best team in football, one of the two or three best teams in football. If Jalen Hurts isn't there, Philadelphia is still a top 6 team, even without Hurts. With him, they're probably the best team in football. You got to beat them, and you got to beat the Panthers, who all of a sudden believe. They've picked up the torch for Steve Wilks, and again, they're not throwing a Super Bowl parade over there, but it's looked okay. I mean, he inherited a disastrous quarterback situation, although the Baker Mayfield reclamation project is just fascinating. But they were playing the Broncos. They're playing the Broncos and the Raiders. Okay, so let's not get too carried away. What I really wanted to talk about is, as these teams are making their decisions, is what this means for Sean Payton. And that picture is getting, depending on who you believe, either clearer or murkier by the day. And I'll talk about that when we come back. This is Dwayne Colucci at the bottom of the hour. Sure, it was an eventful weekend for the sports books. They took it on the chin in a couple of situations. The Packers was a tough one for them. And Cincinnati, Ramondre Stevenson fumbling inside the 5-yard line was a tough one for the books because the Bengals, who have just been absolutely smoking, got the cover. We'll talk with Colucci about some of the games over the weekend, and not big weekend in big week for the Bulls and, of course, the college football playoffs. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
And we had our rice dressing for Christmas Day. Rice dressing's a staple for the Thanksgiving meal and the Christmas meal. Made it with Supreme Rice. You know where we're shopping. We're shopping for Supreme Rice because we're going to support our Louisiana farmers, and we're going to enjoy a delicious product that's been grown, milled, and processed right here in Southwest Louisiana. You know, Supreme Rice is perfect, whether you're making a gumbo, was it cold enough for you, rice dressings, jambalaya, stews, red beans, you name it. Make it with either the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine, which happens to be our favorite. Real easy to get Supreme Rice, so you can get it all of your AG food stores, all of your Walmarts, all of your Costco's, and all of your Winn-Dixies, and, of course, your Rouse's as well. We'll be at Rouse's next Monday for the pre- and post-game show before LSU takes on Purdue. Make it Supreme Rice. Stretch your food dollar with those big, big gatherings for the holidays. You're making a big pot of something for New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. Make it with Supreme Rice. For more information and some unique recipes, go to supremerice.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150, plus no payments for 90 days and 2.9% APR for 72 months. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to?
Matt Moscona from all of us here at AFR. We're wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season. We're going to take off for the long weekend and be back on Tuesday ready to talk for AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Sean Payton making some news over the long weekend, saying that reports coming out, and I have no doubts that these reports that are coming out are being leaked by Payton himself or somebody very, very close to him, because he wants these things out there, trying to raise his value, and his value is already extremely high. So I'm not sure how much of this is actually necessary, but leaking the news that he will bring Vic Fangio back as defensive coordinator. Fangio who's had a long and distinguished career as an NFL coordinator, including some time in New Orleans, it would be an excellent choice to lead anybody's defense. The head coaching thing didn't work out for him, but as a DC, he is one of the most respected names in the business. So this is just in the last, 2 weeks now, we've had Payton leak that, hey, you know what, New Orleans is a possibility, which I think it's a distant possibility, but that it's out there. And now he's got a defensive coordinator. Again, we're less than 2 weeks away. So what do we think about the Sean Payton sweepstakes right now? This is complicated. It's getting closer, but it's complicated. What are the things that have to be in place? And they're not just all Sean Payton things, they're organizational things as well. I think that there's 4 things in play here when it comes to Sean Payton. Number 1 is the quarterback. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a quarterback in place, a veteran quarterback in place. Payton pointed out last week, he says, look, if you've got a veteran quarterback that's doing really well, that job's probably not open. And there's 2 jobs that we might have thought about for Payton earlier in the year that I think are probably now off the table. One of them was Dallas. Dallas, I think, has been off the table for a while. There's a veteran quarterback, and there's a roster. I think the Cowboys' job is problematic for some other reasons, but, hey, look, they're winning. They win the game on Christmas Eve against Philadelphia. They're in the playoffs. They may even make a playoff run. So short of getting beaten their first playoff game by 4 touchdowns and Jerry Jones just being irate and running Mike McCarthy off, I think that job is safe. And with their win last night, the Los Angeles Chargers put themselves in the playoffs, and the owner is in the locker room. Dean Spanos is there. With the coach, Brandon Staley, and they give the game ball to the owner. They're in the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. Everybody's happy there, and they're playing, pretty good football right now. They've won the last 3. I always thought that as long as the owners were willing to pay him, that was the best spot for him. It had the best roster plus the best, situation as far as the front office was, that they would give him control, and they had enough draft capital to give New Orleans. And those are the other things that I think that have to be in play here. The quarterback, but not necessarily a sitting quarterback. You have to have a path to a quarterback. If there's a quarterback in this draft that he really likes, and I don't know that there is, but if there is, that would suffice. There's one team that comes readily to mind here, and that's Houston. Now, Houston won yesterday, or on Sunday, or Saturday, I guess. But they're 2-12. Have had, they're going to have the number 1 pick in the draft. And if you like Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or, Will Levis, anybody, that's a path to a quarterback. So I think that's one. A quarterback or a path to a quarterback. Maybe it's an organization with salary cap money. Maybe he thinks he can win with Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe he thinks he can win with Geno Smith. Maybe he thinks that he can win with one of the quarterbacks in Washington, whoever the odd man out is. Maybe he thinks he can get Zach Wilson on the cheap and fix him. Who knows? That's why the Saints job is so unattractive if you're coming in from the outside. Not only do you not have a quarterback, not only do you not have a draft pick to go get a quarterback, you don't have any salary cap room either. So you're kind of stuck with, what you can afford. So the quarterback is one. Organizational control. Payton leaned on a lot of people in New Orleans, but ultimately he made almost all of the calls. They trusted the scouting department, especially after Jeff Ireland came in, and they've had some productive drafts, especially towards the middle rounds. They've found a lot of players. But Payton signed off on a lot of that stuff. He's going to have organizational control. He's not just going to come in and kowtow to a general manager that's not going to let him have his say. So organizational control is the second thing. The third thing is money. He's going to have to be paid. I think he's going to demand that he be paid at the top of the food chain. The idea that Payton will give anybody a discount because he likes the situation a little better, if he does, it ain't going to be a big one. I think that the deal is probably going to have to be somewhere in the area of $12 million a year, and I think he's probably going to shoot for 10 years. He's going to shoot for the Gruden deal. If colleges can pay it, if LSU can pay Brian Kelly $100 million over 10 years, you better believe that Sean Payton's going to ask for something in that ballpark. I know it's college and pro, but he's not going to go somewhere just to be nice. And then the last thing is the Saints, draft compensation. The Saints are going to start high. I think the Saints are probably going to start with the Gruden offer, which was 2 1s and 2 2s. I don't think they'll get that. But I think that any pick that comes back to New Orleans, or any package that comes back to New Orleans, is going to have to include a first-round pick and something else. Now, it depends on how high that pick is as to what the something else is. But if that pick were in the top half of the first round, I would say that probably a 3, a 1 and a 3. That's just a guess. So the Chargers are off the board. The Cowboys are off the board. I think the Panthers are off the board one way or the other. If Steve Wilks wins, I think he keeps the job. If he doesn't win, I think the Saints would stick a compensation price on the Panthers so high that they would decline to meet it. There's no way that New Orleans is going to let Sean Payton go to Carolina and torment them twice a year for the next 8 to 10 years. That's just not going to happen. So those teams, I think, are off the list. What teams are on the list? Is Denver on the list? That probably greatly depends on what he thinks of Russell Wilson. Does he think he can make Russell Wilson the quarterback that he was up until this year, or does he feel like he's got a $250 million albatross around his neck? Organizational control, the Walmarts, I think, will probably give that to him. George Patton has not set the world on fire up there, though their defense is very good. I think that he'd be okay there. Certainly the Walmarts have plenty of money, so the dollars are not a problem. Compensating the Saints might be, because most of their attractive draft choices are in Seattle right now. So that's a possibility. I think the Raiders are back in play now. There's enough disappointing losses there to feel like that roster has underachieved. They're 6-9. And one of those wins was by the grace of God with the Patriots thing. So they're not going to make the playoffs. Josh McDaniels has had 2 shots at this and certainly does not look like he is the second coming of Bill Belichick. You've got a quarterback there. Okay, you may not have a top 10 quarterback there, but you've certainly got a competent quarterback. You've got enough roster there to do it. I think that they would probably meet the money, and the draft compensation could be worked out. I don't know if he wants to work for Mark Davis, though. It's been a volatile front office since Al. It was a volatile front office probably the last 6 or 8 years that Al Davis was alive, and it hasn't exactly gotten better since then. They've tried, they brought in some highly qualified people. It hasn't worked out. I don't know if he would want to go there, which brings me to Houston, and again we get back to. Is there a quarterback in this draft that he likes? Houston checks a lot of boxes. If he likes Bryce Young, or if he likes C.J. Stroud or Will Levis, you got your quarterback. And you've got your quarterback at a controlled cost for 5 years. If Peyton is the quarterback magician that we think he is, and he thinks one of those guys is the real deal, that's very attractive. They've got the draft choice compensation to send. The family will probably spend the money. It has been an absolute disaster of a front office. When the McNair family has just been an absolute train wreck for the past, really since the beginning of the end of Bill O'Brien. It's been a mess over there. Maybe he feels like he could turn that around. Maybe he feels like because it's been such a mess that he can go in and say, I have to control this. I was in control for 15 years in New Orleans. We won. Put me in control of everything here, and we'll win. They could do that. That could possibly work. It's out of the conference. It gets you set up draft pick wise for New Orleans. If the money is there, the quarterback's there, organizational control is there. There's a lot of things that could work in Houston. Then there is the wild cards in this. Arizona's a wild card. Looks like it's going to be a complete house cleaning there. You got a lot of problems with the Arizona job. Number one, the quarterback is a question mark moving forward. Organizational control, that ownership group, the Bidwell family, has done way more bad than good. Way more bad than good. Would they meet his asking price? Probably. Could they get there with the draft compensation? Probably. But like Denver, if you don't feel like Kyler Murray is the answer, if you don't feel like Russell Wilson is the answer in Denver, you're laden with this $250 million contract, okay? If you don't feel like Kyler Murray is the guy moving forward, you got the same problem. So I don't think that I don't think that works. And then there's the Tennessee Titans, who have that's a mess also, because they fired John Robinson, their general manager, when they were in first place. They have now lost 5 straight games, and they just got beat by the Houston Texans, who had 1 win at that point. The owner went in and fired the general manager when they were in first place. When does that happen? So is Mike Vrabel really safe, who I think is a very good coach? But is he safe? Would that be a possibility? Do you have a quarterback there? Ryan Tannehill is no great shakes and appears to be in decline. Malik Willis, it's too soon to know. So those are some of the possibilities for Sean Payton. We'll take a break. Dwayne Colucci with us when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
So our friends over at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge over the holidays. And here as we wind down 2022, want to remind you 3.9% APR for 60 months on most of the models on the lot right now. And if you're going in to buy an MDX or TLX, there's $1,000 in loyalty cash coming back your way. 2-year, 24,000-mile complimentary scheduled maintenance on all your 2023 models. Huge certified pre-owned selection right now. 100,000-mile powertrain coverage, roadside assistance, wonderful for your older drivers or your younger drivers. Your first scheduled maintenance is free. We love Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge because of the transparency and prices and the family-owned atmosphere that they instill every time you go out. That's why we bought our last several vehicles from Acura and Infinity, and we will be going back here early next year to purchase another one. Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Nearly half of children in foster care drop out of school. But you can rewrite that story. Children and youth with CASA and GAL volunteers are more likely to succeed in school. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Join me, Jimmy Out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
A bowl game action going on right now. Buffalo leading Georgia Southern 14-6 in the always entertaining Camellia Bowl. 104 today. I think every team today is 6-6. They're not. It just seems that way. Let's bring in Dwayne Colucci from the South Point and the Rampart. Mr. Colucci, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. How are you, my friend?
Doing well, Charlie. It was a fabulous holiday. Just a good time with friends and family. A lot of food, some good games, NBA games, NFL games. So it was awesome. And, I see you and your family also celebrated and had a good time. And that's what the holidays are all about, Charlie. It's just about a good time and love and family and friends.
One of the game we were watching the game on Christmas Eve, the Steelers and the Raiders, and Dwayne, it was just eerie how with the untimely passing of Franco Harris right before the ceremony with the Immaculate Reception, how much that game mirrored the original. Steelers beat the Raiders on a last-second touchdown. Now, granted, it wasn't as dramatic as Franco's, but right there, couldn't move the ball the whole game, just like in '72. Put together the last drive, get the touchdown to win it. So maybe it was just a little bit eerie, I thought, given the circumstances of that game.
Yeah, definitely. The ghost of Christmas past was flashing, and the Steelers credit, that 10-0 fourth quarter. Couldn't move the ball at all, but then, when the magic needed to be, it was like Franco basically blessed the Steelers with his blessing, and it was a tragic loss, and so shocking when you look at the landscape and whether it's Michael Irvin or people close, it was just so shocking. And it happened so quick, but that was a fabulous game. And we had some massive handle on that game. I'll be honest with you, Charlie, betting both sides. There were a lot of people that have the sentiment, and we have a lot of Steeler fans out in Summerlin in Las Vegas, at the Rampart. We used to actually have an Irish pub in the building that was a Steeler bar. So these people still frequent the casino quite often. So the handle for the Steelers, it got up there, not in comparison to the Raiders. We did have a little more Raider money in the game, but it was just a great field. The crowd was so into it, even though it was on the cusp of the holiday, and definitely a credit to Pickett and the Steelers as they came through. That Freiermuth is definitely a factor. When you could get him across the middle and he starts to, impose his will, he's so tough to tackle. And like you said, those last drives were the telling tale.
All right, tell me about your Cowboys, because we had picked the Eagles. We felt really good about the Eagles. I felt good about the Eagles when they were up 10-0. I felt good about the Eagles when they were up 27-17. I even felt good about the Eagles when they were down 37-34. Imagine my surprise when they put the ball on the ground and the Cowboys get that field goal at the end. I know the game lost a little bit of luster because Jalen Hurts didn't play, but that was a fabulous contest between those two teams. They may very well play again in the postseason, but I really thought I was on the right side with the Eagles and the Cowboys get the cover, though.
Yeah, that was a great game, I tell you, not just because I'm a Cowboy fan, Charlie. I think they played a little possum late. I still don't trust the Eagles under any circumstances, knowing the history of Eagles and Cowboys. But I said going in, Gardner Minshew is definitely one of the top backup quarterbacks and knows the playbook. He plays with his heart on his sleeve, so you always want that emotional guy that the team is going to rally around. And I'm just a little scared about Dallas' defense because at times it just disappeared. But let me tell you something, Charlie. You felt great going into the second quarter. You felt great going into the third quarter. You know when I knew the Eagles weren't going to cover and lose that game? When they started playing around with that Salvation Army bin. I was sitting next to my old man. I said, look, now they want to start taunting in Dallas, which is usually a cowboy characteristic, and then it backfires. But the Eagles took that route, and I was like, yeah, just watch. Now Dallas will start to play good. And sure enough, Dak Prescott just led them, and CD was unstoppable. I mean, Lamb was unbelievable. Then T.Y. Hilton with that big play. Dallas has such a well-rounded offense that I'll tell you the truth. If Beckham ever joined this team, it would just be unstoppable. But that defense has to rectify some problems. Minshew did have 355 yards and 2 rips. So that's monstrous. Smith had 113 yards. A.J. Brown is going to be a factor. That could have been a preview, and hopefully it is, of the NFC Championship because that'll just be an off-the-hook handle and a great, great game. A lot of people were backing. You saw the line movement. We opened it 1.5 with Hurts playing. Then 5.5 on the adjustment, Charlie. Bet down to 4 at about game time. A lot of Eagle money. Dallas, though, always has parlays and teasers hooked to them. So another game similar to the Steeler-Raider game where we had just off-the-hook handle and another great, great NFL game. It was just an awesome, game all around. I'm sorry you guys didn't cash, but that was an exciting game.
It was. There was a report out of Vegas, Dwayne, that the Sharps beat the money in or got the money in before the news with Hurts broke, and they were able to jump the line a little bit. It wouldn't be the first time the Sharps knew something before the general public did, but it seemed like that there was maybe more handle than usual for that kind of situation, and the books kind of got caught in the crossfire there. Did you see that?
Yeah, definitely, and it's lucky that we got the buyback late on that game because, definitely the Sharps were all over it. Hurts got a little dinged up the week before. So, the Sharps are going to take a gamble if you have a sense in a marquee matchup like this that the injury could linger and possibly, worsen if the Dallas defense, if he plays against Dallas and they start to crush him and make him run around and rattle him a little. So Sharps were all over it. Yeah, they jumped that 1.5. That's why we made the severe adjustment. Luckily, Dallas was able to, cover also that 5.5 that we got, the buyback on. And it definitely was bet down 2-4, like I said. So that was a weird situation, and we're just taking a deep breath that it worked out in our favor, and it just ended up being a fabulous handle game as opposed to a two-sided winner, which could have possibly happened if that game falls in the middle. Then we're just sick and crushed for the holiday weekend.
All right, Colucci, before we get to the college football playoff, I want to ask you about one NFL game next week. Bills and the Bengals. This could be one of the most entertaining games all year. The number 1 seed possibly in play for either one of these teams. Cincinnati's still trying to win their division. They could literally be anywhere from 1st to 5th in the AFC playoffs, but nobody's hotter right now than the Bengals. And the Bills have been the odds-on, de facto best team in the league for most of the year, save for Philadelphia. So this is almost a pick 'em. I think Buffalo's sitting at a 1-point favorite right now. But next Monday night, that's one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, definitely one of the best games of the year. And we opened the game at Pick'em at the Rampart in South Point. Now Buffalo is swung to a 1-point favorite. I mean, Buffalo seems to play to the level of their competition, Charlie. So I wouldn't sell them short that they could win this game. But right now you're facing a covering machine in Cincinnati. And Joe Burrow has just been off the hook. I mean, you're talking about a guy who came out of the preseason with appendicitis. And now he and Josh Allen have the same number of touchdowns, all-purpose, rushing and throwing at 39. He is outgrowing Josh Allen in yards per game. He has a fabulous wide receiving core. They've been there, done that. Let's keep this in mind. This is a Super Bowl team. And, getting points at home, I definitely think Cincy has a massive, massive chance. Total is 49.5. A lot of people are looking at a shootout, even if the weather is a little adverse, which it's going to be freezing cold, especially on a Monday night. So I'm going to keep my eye on these weather reports. Definitely keep my eye on the health of all sides, but this should be a fabulous, fabulous game. Another preview of a possible AFC championship. I've said it time and time again, Charlie. It's either Chiefs, Buffalo, or Cincinnati. Cincinnati is playing fabulous right now, 12-1 against the spread in the last 13. What could you say? I mean, they're just unbelievable, and they do have some kicking woes. Don't kid yourself. The kicker is probably the weakest point, and last year everybody raved about how that was their strong point. The Patriots, once again, they blew that game against Cincinnati this week. You saw the fumble inside the 10, uncharacteristic of a Bill Belichick team. So not that the last victory and cover wasn't gift wrapped, but Cincinnati is still playing at a phenomenal, phenomenal level. This is going to be a great game, one of the best games on the card, if not the best game on the card.
Not that anybody cares, but I'm in my fantasy Super Bowl this week, and Joe Burrow is my quarterback, so I'm hoping for lots of points in that game. Okay, let's talk about the playoff. TCU and Michigan, the first game. Ohio State and Georgia, the second game. Both of these games sitting right around a touchdown is what we're seeing over here, Dwayne. The Wolverines a little bit better at 7.5. The Bulldogs a little bit less than a touchdown at 6.5 right now. You tell me what you guys have got it posted and where I guess it's still early action, but we're getting closer.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer, and these are going to be two fabulous, playoff games, without a doubt. We now have Michigan at 7.5. Total of 58.5 at the Rampart and South Point. And this is a game that opened at 9. We've seen the TCU fans, back them consistently, even down to the wire. So I expected a lot of TCU money here, but I think we'll get some buyback late. We haven't got to the key number of 7 yet. Michigan has played a tougher schedule, in my opinion. I think they're a far superior team. I don't want to, don't quote me on that, but I really do. I think they're in a great, great position here. Georgia, we know how good Georgia is. I mean, they're just fabulous. Opened it at 6. 6.5 is now the current spread at the Rampart and South Point. Total of 62. SEC champion, who ran the table. I like Georgia in this game. I don't think Ohio State should have even been there, I'll be honest with you. I would have looked at a different angle. I think the games would have been way more exciting. I just think the name and recognition of Ohio State got them in. They got destroyed by Michigan when it counted, and that's uncharacteristic. So I'm loving the SEC champ here. I like Georgia, and I like Michigan. I'm playing the favorites, but we are seeing Georgia action, and the initial reaction were the Sharks taking TCU. That's why it went from 9 to 7.5. But these are great, great games. We have a great slate coming up. We still have Clemson and Tennessee, despite two quarterbacks, going elsewhere. It's going to be a fabulous matchup. Alabama is definitely going to be a great game. So great college football upcoming, Charles.
You may not know this off the top of your head, but we've seen a lot of blowouts in the college football playoff. The rate at which the favorites have covered, do you know that number off the top of your head? Somewhere in the back of my head, 70% is kicking around.
Yeah, I think it was like 68 or something like that, Charlie. I think you're right. It was a real, real high number. I don't know the exact number, but yeah, there's been a lot of blowouts. And even today so far, we're watching a game early where Buffalo is ahead. And, this is going to be a difficult game to handicap. On the second half, we're sitting at 5.5. So, Buffalo is getting 5.5 now in the second half. 31.5, I believe our total is. Yes, I'm looking at the computer. Yes, we're taking Memphis money, another favorite. We opened that game at 7. It's up to 8. The public is starting to get perceptive of how the favorites are winning. Even Wisconsin, we have to open them at 3, now up to 4.5. You have to keep your eye on all these guys, the transfer portal, all the head coaching, whether it's, a tragedy like Mr. Leach, Coach Leach, I should say, or, just coaches changing areas and positions. And, this factors into all of these games, Charlie. And as bookmakers, we definitely have to pay attention. But the favorites are clicking. There's been a lot of blowouts this far. Let's see how these remainder of these bowl games play out.
I like East Carolina today against Coastal Carolina. That's my favorite of the favorites today. Coastal Carolina had a lot of that staff hit the door, and they had played. They do get Grayson McCall back today, but he's transferring after the game. like the Pirates today. They had their bowl game canceled last year, so there's a little bit of motivation there. Colucci, we always appreciate it. Have a happy New Year, and we'll talk to you next week.
Definitely, Charlie. You and your family have a great New Year. Let's make it a prosperous 2023.
Absolutely. Dwayne Colucci from the South Point and the Rampart. We'll take a break, come back, wrap things up. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
If you're a business owner having problems with staffing, is there anything that's taking up more time in your day? Is there anything that's more frustrating with, between the no-show interviews, the unqualified applicants? Let Tiger Labor and Staffing help you out, because they can handle a lot of this work for you. The interviews, the background checks, they can regulate your payroll expenses, help you with your onboarding, all of the things that are taking up way too much of your time. Whether you need somebody for a day, a week, or a month, you control your labor expenses, you increase your flexibility. If you have employees that you need for the new year, they'll help you out. The temp to hire option is only 60 days, and that's the lowest in the industry. Tiger Labor and Staffing, if you're looking for a job, they're welcoming skilled and unskilled labor. They'll match you with a job that fits, and you got quick turnarounds on pay. Tiger Labor and Staffing, success begins with the eye of the tiger. Go to tigerlabor.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal.
Matt Moscona from all of us here at AFR. We're wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season. We're going to take off for the long weekend and be back on Tuesday ready to talk for AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
14-6, Buffalo leading Georgia Southern. That's at the half, the first of 4 bowl games today. And we got a ton of bowl games all week long. So the one we like the best, the one I like the best is East Carolina against Coastal. ECU's a 7-point favorite. The bottom kind of fell out on Coastal at the end of the season, and it wasn't just Grayson McCall going out. Now, he's going to play today, but he is going into the transfer portal right after the game. The coaching staff is all going to Liberty. Not the whole coaching staff, but a lot of the coaching staff. They got significant defensive losses in the transfer portal. And Holton Allers is playing for East Carolina. He has been the quarterback there since I think the school opened. Pretty much, he's been. I think he's been there for 6 years or something like that. He's playing today for ECU. Figures to be a high-scoring game, like the Pirates to cover the number. The other 2 games are a little bit tougher. Memphis and Utah State, and then Wisconsin and Oklahoma State is the late game tonight from Phoenix. Tomorrow, we're going to take a look at LSU and Arkansas. SEC basketball gets started for LSU tomorrow as they welcome in the very highly thought of Hogs, who are, however, having some injury problems right now. So we'll get to that. We'll do first class, second class, no class. Scott Rabelais will be with us as well. I want to remind you that next Monday will be a game day for us. So we'll be doing pre and post around LSU's bowl game instead of our regular shows. For Mario and Taylor, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny time.
Big Mike Sports Bar and Grill getting ready for not only New Year's Eve, where it's going to be a huge party, but also New Year's Day because, well, it's Sunday and there's NFL football. That means happy hour drink prices all day. $2 domestic draft and bottles, $3 wells, $3.50 for wine, and that goes on throughout the day. So you start at 11 in the morning all the way until the late NFL game. Daily lunch specials all week long here at Big Mike. Schedule your special events, multiple party rooms available at Big Mike's. Wonderful atmosphere to enjoy all the games and the holidays. And for all of you that receive the Big Mike's gift cards over the holiday, you can get to cash in some of those in. Big Mike's on Aspen in Denham Springs. Kind of a big deal.